All right, folks, we're back. Not sure why the fine folks at YouTube killed the stream, but they did. So we are going to send this out again to everyone. Yeah, they killed the stream because everything else is working perfectly. All right, so let's get this out to all of the fine folks. It's now being reported that there are several explosions in Qatar, and Iran is responsible. Trump speech in the all call. I had to restart the stream. Still haven't figured out why it went down. Everything else stayed up, but YouTube said kaput. So hit that thumbs up. Only 13 of you have. Yeah, nobody knows what Trump is going to do. I'm not sure he does some days. What he may have decided to do this morning might not be what he wants to do this afternoon. Mother Marsher, on the right-hand side of the yellow star, what is that little symbol there before hi, JT? I keep seeing that, and I don't know what it is. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already.
Last caller, this is airspace, Charlie, help me, over.
All right, yeah, I don't know why that's there. Correct. Some of the major networks are not going to show this because they don't want the world to see what Trump is going to announce tonight. I don't think that has anything to do with member level, because I've seen it with people that don't have a member. No, I'm not talking about the blue shields. I'm talking about the Little, it looks like a Chinese character in front of Mother Marsher's welcome to somebody. Right there, hi JT, right here. Oh, that's weird. When I click on it, it disappears. Okay, I don't know. They changed so many things so fast, I have no idea. Oh, it rates the amount of participation. I thought that's what the crowns were. This isn't a crown. This is a here. Best way to do it is just show you. Right there. That icon right there. See above the pointer? Whatever that is. Not everybody has it. Thank you there. Appreciate the support. We need all of it we can get. For those of you who aren't aware, I'm living in a van down by the river waiting for my government cheese. It hasn't showed up yet. Yeah, Decoy, I'm talking about that icon that I showed that was just to the right of that that looks like a Chinese character. Yeah, I'm actually on the Hudson River right now. I'm surrounded by the Hudson River. I'm sitting on an island in the middle of the Hudson River. A private island. Anytime. We'll try to keep you informed as much as we can. Real news, real time, no BS. We are awaiting the commander-in-chief here. Should be speaking in, well, the festivities will begin in about 17 minutes. As we all know, the commander-in-chief is famous for being fashionably late. I should expect no less this evening. That's right, folks. If you have not joined the KLW World News Network yet, you should go to klwworldnews.com and get signed up there, VIP or above. We'll get you on the network within 24, 48 hours. Over 100 channels of news, text, talk, chat, and information. 100% secure. AES 256-bit encrypted. It's the most secure app available. Right, it's not in your chat, it's in mine, Decoy. I showed it on the screen a little while ago. If you rewind, you can see I put the cursor right underneath of it. So now just 15 minutes until the Commander-in-Chief is supposed to address us. We're set up for it. Twelve minutes until the president's supposed to start speaking. The White House feed is normally behind everybody else's, just so you know. So it may be available on another platform a second or two ahead of this one, or maybe a little more, but either way, we're going to bring it to you in its entirety. And due to the fact we're pulling it straight from the White House, it shouldn't be, how should we say, muted or any other issues in it. we are going to leave the closed captioning on for those who are hearing impaired. Rotten as ever. Seven minutes. T minus now 6 minutes.
Here's the map now. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
Link to the live show and the Trump speech are in the all call.
Good evening. Before we begin, I'm proud to report that our country is safer, stronger, and far wealthier than it has ever been before. We are doing great. Less than 2 years ago, we inherited an economic and social disaster. After the worst inflation in 48 years, the wide open borders with millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, including criminals of all types, and 11,888 murderers, many of whom killed more than one person. We had transgender for everybody, men and women sports, crime ravaging our cities, and the whole world was laughing at us as a nation, but not anymore. 2 years ago, our country was dead. Now, we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. America is respected like we have never been respected before. We have more money being invested in the United States than at any time in the history of our country. More Americans are working today than ever before. This week it was announced that inflation saw the largest monthly decline in more than 6 years. Just happened. It was just given out. The media reported it, and we accept it. The best in 6 years. The tax cuts in our great, big, beautiful bill are saving hardworking families thousands and thousands of dollars, like with the provisions, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, along with the interest deduction on a loan used to purchase a car, but only if that car is made in America, and a 100% expensing for our job-creating businesses. Our stock markets are at their highest point in many years, but we can actually say of all time. And your 401ks, pensions, and retirement accounts are setting records every single day, the highest in history. For years, we paid the highest price for prescription drugs anywhere in the world. Now we pay the lowest price under my most favored nation's policy, because I was able to get the rest of the world and the pharmaceutical companies to act responsibly. Drug prices are coming down by 70, 80, and 90%. TrumpRx.gov, this will ultimately reduce the cost of health care. You have to go to TrumpRx.gov and take advantage of it. But the cost of health care is coming way down because of what we've done with prescription drugs. And with Trump accounts, every child in America now has access to a tax-free investment account to save for their future. Billions and billions of dollars are being invested, put in by companies and individuals to take care of our children so that at age 18, they will have potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in their account, and they'll get off to a great start in life. So for that, go to TrumpAccounts.gov and sign up your child or any child you'd like to sign up. Our previously wide open borders have been transformed into the most secure borders in the history of our country, with 0 illegal aliens being admitted to the United States in the past 14 months. That is 0. Nobody thought it was possible. We had the worst border in the history of our country, and now we have the best. Crime is plummeting nationwide, with the murder rate at its lowest level since 1900, or more than 125 years ago. We're making a record investment in our armed forces, and we have the strongest and most powerful military by far anywhere in the world. I built it during my first term, and unfortunately, we're forced to use it now. We won in Venezuela, which is now working with us to produce millions and millions of barrels of oil. We are likewise winning big in Iran, and you will see the fruits of that labor very, very shortly. America is back and doing really well, but we still have a major challenge that must be urgently addressed, because no country can be great without fair and honest elections. You have to trust your country, because if there can be no trust, there can be no greatness. And that's very simple. No trust, no greatness. For many years, I've called for bold, swift, and decisive action to protect the integrity of America's elections. Every American deserves to know that when they cast their vote, that vote will be counted accurately in a system, and that is to make that system secure. One where cheating and interference are not just difficult, but virtually impossible. Unfortunately, the system we have today falls catastrophically short of that standard. Tonight, I'm announcing the immediate declassification and release of critical intelligence revealing shocking vulnerabilities in our election infrastructure. This evidence shows that the election system we have dangerously exposes and really exposes like levels never thought possible to hacking, exploitation, and foreign interference. Just as disturbingly, this vital information has for many years been covered up and hidden from you, the American people, our beautiful, our great American people. But that all changes right now. The documents we will release starting tonight have been gathered by the White House Government Transparency Task Force, a great group of people, along with the staff of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board, supported by our top intelligence agency chiefs, who have all personally reviewed the findings. We are presenting this evening and fully confirmed their authenticity. You can see these documents for yourself at whitehouse.gov. That's whitehouse.gov. Go check it out. Our purpose in disclosing this information is not to weaken confidence in election, but to earn that confidence by confronting vulnerabilities and correcting them very, very quickly. And that's what we're doing. The documents cover 5 major areas of concern. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files. That information includes names, addresses, phone numbers, political party preferences, and other sensitive data that would be needed to register to vote and engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening. This data loss presents an unprecedented election security nightmare. The intelligence even shows that China assigned a data exploitation unit specifically to this new project. Compounding the travesty, the second set of documents we are releasing reveals that members of the deep state, very, very famous group of people, in many cases, in our intelligence agency work to actively suppress and downplay information about the extent of China's sinister election meddling, covering it up from both the president and the American people like nobody thought was possible. U.S. spy agencies began learning about the compromise of voter registration files in 2020 when they discovered that tens of millions of voter data, think of that, tens of millions of voters' data in 18 states have been bought, stolen, or hacked by China. Yet those responsible for sounding the alarm instead kept the information secret and hidden. They did not disclose to me as president or to anyone else, and to the best of our knowledge, they did not inform Congress. In fact, all they kept saying is, this is the most secure election in the history of our country, a standard, very pat line that was divvied out to say. The cover-up of this colossal security breach is even more disturbing in light of the additional information showing that China engaged in other election-related activities to undermine my first administration and our 2020 campaign. They did not want, and they just didn't want it. They fought like hell not to have it, Donald Trump, to win, and for good reason. As the documents we are releasing show, CIA reporting explicitly stated, and I quote, In mid-2018, the Chinese Communist Party's policy was to leverage all domestic and foreign elements that were opposed to the U.S. president in an effort to reduce the U.S. president's votes and make him resign or prevent his re-election. Isn't that nice? Also, in mid-2018, China was working to influence the results of the U.S. midterm elections and later the results of the 2020 presidential election itself. Separately, in mid-2019, the Chinese government's strategy against the United States was focused on undermining domestic confidence in the U.S. president. They wanted to just make you sound like your president wasn't so hot, when actually your president has done a great job, and they did everything possible to do exactly that. Going on, this document says, and this is by the CIA, the strategy included efforts to use Chinese contacts with big U.S. companies to influence U.S. business leaders to turn against the President of the United States of America. The Chinese government sought to identify U.S. journalists who had reported negatively on the U.S. president and pay them large sums of money to write more negative articles about him, as many as they could, and they didn't care what they said. The Chinese government wanted U.S. president to lose the next election, and the reason they wanted me to lose is because they knew I was wise to them, charged them billions and billions of dollars worth of tariffs, and built the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world. These are exact quotes from the CIA reporting. The name of the person doing the quote is now under review, but it gets even worse. Raw intelligence obtained by the FBI in 2020, yet buried by rogue bureaucrats, stated that China's activities even included an attempt to manufacture illegal ballots for Joe Biden. Documents show that during this period, dozens of significant CIA and NSA reports about China's election targeting were kept out of the presidential briefing. These were briefings I would get almost every day. Everything was kept out that was of importance. One email among intelligence analysts admitted that they had, quote, deliberately massaged the presidential daily briefing to withhold information regarding Chinese activities related to the election. Another official inside the FBI wrote that she was running, quote, a shadow government, unquote, to keep intelligence about China's election meddling from becoming known and to keep it away from the honorable press. Other officials who witnessed such efforts perceived the motivations to be blatantly political. Recently, we found significant numbers of burn bags in formation, and this is a group of bags that were used to destroy information given by President Barack Hussein Obama to be burned. It was supposed to be burned. These bags were supposed to be at a different level by different people, incinerated and checked, but it never happened. Maybe we got lucky. We believe this was not done on purpose, but rather through gross incompetence of the people that was supposed to burn the bags. But the findings are stunning. Today, I'm asking the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the CIA to investigate how and why such crucial information was hidden, to fire those involved in the cover-up, and to file criminal charges, if appropriate, against these people. Yet concealing China's meddling was only the beginning. The third set of documents we are releasing proves that for many years, Americans were blatantly lied to about the security of our election infrastructure, including electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems. Dishonest, almost all. They're vulnerable and they're easily compromised, and people within our government knew that. Tonight, we're publishing a series of previously classified U.S. intelligence community assessments and other reports proving that our government has long known these machines are extremely exposed to attack. As one assessment states, we judge that The United States adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, as well as non-state groups, have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. That's unquote, but that's some statement, isn't it? Made by supposedly great patriots of our country. The document goes on to further state that, quote, we assess that centralized election-related data repositories, such as voter registration databases, poll books, and other official election websites, are most vulnerable to exploitation, and adversaries could use this access to these systems to disrupt election processes within the United States of America. Tonight, we're releasing all of those findings, and spanning from January 2020 to June 2026. This is a cyber threat aimed at the very heart of our democracy. Many people have questioned whether it could actually be possible to electronically manipulate vote totals or change election results on these terrible machines. Today, we are releasing documents that show the CIA obtained reporting of a specific plot to do a big number in favor of the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela, and that's exactly what happened, conspiring to digitally rig their own country's elections in 2020, and that's what they did. This reporting included precise details about methods to regime develop to digitally alter vote totals in ways that could not be detected even with an audit, no matter how deep they went. This intelligence underscores why we must take urgent action to ensure that our own system can never, ever be hacked or compromised like it was in the past. The fourth set of documents reveals that even when significant evidence of fraud has been detected, it has been buried and covered up. Among the disclosures tonight are FBI files detailing evidence of alleged fraud by a large-scale voter registration operation in Michigan. In 2020, Michigan State Police raided a Democrat Get Out the Vote organization, corrupt group in Muskegon. And we're so concerned by what they found. They were just so concerned, they couldn't believe it, actually, that they contacted the FBI in Detroit. The documents state that some canvassers admitted to FBI agents that they signed voter registration forms in other people's names, submitted fraudulent registration for people who did not exist, and received gift cards tied to their number of applications that they produced. In other words, it was pay, play, and cheat. The FBI agents working on the case believe that crimes were committed, yet the Biden Department of Justice slow-walked the investigation and killed it. Tonight, I'm asking the FBI director to ensure that the matter is fully investigated and to work with the Department of Justice to prosecute those responsible for any crimes. Finally, to reveal just how vulnerable our elections continue to be, we are releasing the results of a stunning investigation by the Department of Homeland Security. According to the DHS review of state voter rolls and public records, they identified approximately 278,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote in federal elections. Since Democrat states refuse to share their voter files, the real number is actually much higher than that. Yet, even this limited analysis found more than 250,000 foreigners illegally registered to vote. Put together, these disclosures reveal an election system so broken and so vulnerable that no one can possibly defend it. It is not defensible. Hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files are in the hands of foreign governments. Our machines and ballot counting systems are exposed to hacking and manipulation and corruption. China and other countries have been trying to meddle in our elections. Evidence of fraud has been buried. Hundreds of thousands of non-citizens and dead people are listed and active on the voter rolls, and yet we still have elections with no voter ID, no proof of citizenship, and tens of millions of ballots floating aimlessly through the mail. As one example of the insanity, California's recent election for mayor of LA and governor was held on June 2nd, a long time ago, but it was just completed a few days ago on July 10th. Think of that, much more than 1 month. Took a month to count the votes. I wonder what they were doing. This is worse than any third world country. There's no third world country that has elections like we have. In a rare move, NBC and ABC Fake News have both said that they would not cover this speech. They knew what it was about because of the fact that they don't like the topic, because they know how corrupt our system is and they don't want to reveal it. They and others in the media are part of a plot. They want to continue this fraud for whatever reason. They want to keep it going. They want to protect the radical left. They can't have a great country, and that's true. You can't have a great country without free and fair elections. Fraud like this should mean a revocation of their licenses. They use our public multi-billion-dollar in value airways for absolutely no money. They pay nothing. All we want is honesty in our elections and honesty in reporting. They pay nothing for multi-billion-dollar assets. Great damage has been done to our country. Our elections were left vulnerable to being rigged and stolen, and the trust of the American people was lost. This cannot be allowed to continue. Every American, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, or otherwise, should be able to agree that we deserve the most secure, honest, and fair election system anywhere in the world. Secure elections should be a partisan, really, we should be together, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, everybody, and it should not be a partisan issue. It should cause to unite us, not to divide us. This should be a cause. We should be united, not divided. In light of the brand new and irrefutable information I have revealed tonight, my administration is in the process of notifying the states whose election data was compromised by the People's Republic of China and many others. We will be working closely to mitigate any harm, and we're taking swift action to ensure that sensitive voter data is better protected so we can never be bought, we can never be hacked, and we can never watch a stolen election again. Tomorrow, the Secretary of Homeland Security will hold a briefing to outline his department's recent work confirming cyber vulnerabilities in our electronic voting systems. They are bad. We're in the process of informing governors, senators, and members of Congress of potential issues in their states. If you look at voting today, it's in such bad shape in so many states, and we are committing to fix it. And we're also committing to be working with those states and local jurisdictions to help them fix and patch known technical vulnerabilities before the midterm elections. We have very important elections coming up. We want those elections to be honest. I've also ordered DHS to notify every state about non-citizens on their voter rolls and direct them to remove all ineligible voters from the lists immediately. But most importantly, addressing this crisis of election security demands that Congress must pass the Save America Act. How easy is that to do unless you want to cheat? The only reason you wouldn't do it is you want to cheat because your policies are so bad and your candidates are so pathetic that you can't get away or can't get elected any other way. This landmark bill requires that all voters must show photo voter ID. How simple is that? Could I have your photo, please? Photo voter ID. All voters must provide proof of citizenship. Are you a citizen of our country, please? And hopefully there will be no corrupt mail-in ballots, which if you watched California and so many other places, mail-in ballots are inherently corrupt. So you would have no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel if you're going away on business or vacation. These reforms are urgently needed to stop the vulnerabilities that I've mentioned. To all Americans, I ask you to pick up your phone tomorrow, call your representatives in the House and Senate, and demand that they pass the Save America Act without delay. Together we will restore faith and confidence in our country, and we will be bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Thank you. God bless you. God bless our great military. And God bless America. Thank you very much.
All right, so a couple things that I didn't get here. I went to the website. The documents that are supposed to be released were not there. Found that a little interesting. But we'll see when they come out. Now, the other interesting part about all of this is John Solomon was one of the people that went through these documents to determine which ones would be released. So because of that, we want to go to anything pertaining to John Solomon today. Wow, listen to what the mainstream media is saying about this. I'm not going to play the video, but have a listen.
Two senior administration officials tell NMS Now the speech has not been finalized, but will focus on voting machine security and alleged efforts by foreign nations to influence U.S. elections. David, you co-authored that piece for MS Now.
Alleged. You hear that, right? Alleged.
It sounds like going to be just warmed over conspiracy theories that we've heard about the 2020 election, delivered in the year 2026 in prime time.
Yes, 6 years later in the...
Warmed over conspiracy theories is what MS Now is calling it. Check this out.
Next news, breaking news.
Biden was certified as president. Jay Clayton fired back at Mark Warner. So stop right there. Warner thought he had a trap, and Clayton sidestepped the whole rigged script while Trump gears up for a 9 p.m. White House address on election integrity. And that panic? Well, you're going to see it. It gets worse, though, when we hit Ossoff and Fulton County.
Okay, yeah. Here's John.
John's own reporting may even be talked about, so you're going to have to stay tuned right here at 9 p.m. to see exactly what the president has to say. But we know at least one.
Oh, I love it. So John Solomon hasn't even shown up in his own news report. Okay, so then we do got to go back to the one from yesterday.
Your name's been taken in vain by certain White House personnel that have come to me and said that you're causing all kind of problems. Can you give us some observations on that, sir?
Well, if truth is a problem, then I'm a problem, I guess. You know, if you're worried about truth, then you should be concerned, because we're going to put, you know, the president will put some significant truth out there. Listen, over the last couple of days, I was formally accused of leaking something to you when I haven't even talked to you. The only time we've talked in the last week was over planning a special coverage event. We haven't talked about any of my work. I turned down every opportunity to go on your show because I'm busy. I'm just in the room doing the work. So, yeah, people come out and they accuse you of something that's not true. I didn't see your show yesterday. Is there anything on your show that I gave you yesterday?
Absolutely zero. But you can tell with MSNBC, let's be blunt.
Yeah.
Senior members of the Trump White House, and MSNBC has already framed this. They've been given this 72 hours in advance. They've framed this now. It's disinformation. It's lies. You see Vaughn Hilliard, Rode, all of them are already saying, not even seeing the evidence, not even seeing what has come up with. It's lies. It's disinformation.
Yeah.
You know, AOC is begging channels from around the country not to take it. Yet senior White House officials are quoted by the one network that's the biggest enemy to the President of the United States and has stirred up a lot of the hate and discontent that have led to the attempted assassination attempts on him, like in Butler, Pennsylvania. They continue to stir it up, and they are actively trying to stop the program that you've been brought in for a task force and Bill Pulte. Any observations? I've never seen anything like it, quite frankly, and I think there needs to be a major house cleaning after Thursday night, sir.
Hide and watch, Abe.
I'm sure the president will do the right thing. I can't talk about the speech. I mean, I'm a journalist, I could, but in this case, I'm working as a special government employee, unpaid. And but I will say this, you could do the country a favor. Take two clips. First, the first clip of that NBC moron insulting me. Send that to me so I can send it to my lawyers, because I think after Thursday night I'll have a good litigation case against them. And then to the Department of Leaks at the White House, just send them your clips so they know that nothing on your show yesterday came from me. They can maybe go back to focusing on the president's business. Think about this. Yesterday we had the largest drop in inflation in 6 years. We have the president doing one of his few primetime presidential addresses. We have war in Iran, and people were calling you asking if I was leaking to you. The answer is no. I'll take a polygraph. I'll let you sweep my phone. But shouldn't you be focused on what the president's business is instead of these petty grievances? That's what I would say to those people. Meanwhile, there's important news that's happening every day. You see what Chuck Grassley just put out yesterday with Senator Ron Johnson, and they deserve a lot of credit for doing this. 44 members of Congress had their personal text messages taken by Jack Smith, and according to the records, not even following the rules that protect for separation of powers. Now, if that turns out to be true, that's an incredible abuse. But there weren't 44 members of Congress who were prosecuted. By the way, there were 0 members of Congress. But people like Lindsey Graham and Senator Grassley and Senator Johnson, who were chairmen, had their messages grabbed by a prosecutor for unexplained circumstances. That is a dragnet that invades the privacy. And if they can do it to that powerful of people, imagine what they could be doing to you and me. And so these are the stories that should matter. These are the stories that administration officials should care about. These are the stories that civil libertarians should care about. These are the stories that news media should be focused on. But they love anonymous stories because they can always claim afterwards their sources just weren't right. I guarantee you on Monday morning, people will wake up and they will feel good that the president gave a primetime speech. I'm sure of it. He's going to say what he's going to say, but they pick primetime speeches because they're important. So I'll leave it at that and let the American people judge, but I think there'll be plenty there.
I think the White House should understand is that the people at MSNBC were not shy about saying.
Folks, I've been waiting for this speech. I've been waiting for this moment. I've told you all many times before, when they did this to Trump in 2020, he had 4 years to figure out exactly what he was going to do during his next 4 years, and today is a turning point. Mark my words. I have been waiting for today.
Sending around to everybody exactly who they've been talking to, so we know who they've been talking to. We know who these anonymous
That's
sources
unfortunate to hear. Yeah. Well, listen,
no,
Washington has been full of leaks.
They went to the enemies of the. Let me be blunt. They went to a network that has driven the hate and dissension in this country that led to the assassination attempts on the president of the United States. They went to them and privately briefed them on what's going on. You and Bill Pulte, to me, are in 4 weeks. You guys are eligible, to me, should be nominated for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. What you guys have accomplished in 4.5 weeks is more than we did in the first administration and more than we've done in the first year and a half of this administration with people who were specifically empowered to go do this and failed to do it. And as MSNBC tells us, people knew this information and suppressed it. John, you and Pulte deserve the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Listen, there's they want us to talk about the leaks. That's why they're baiting us into these things. I'm going to stay focused on the truth and the facts and the information and the project that the president was kind enough to give me. I think when people say the facts, there's no amount of interpretation that the spin nicers can do. The facts are the facts. By the way, there's a large number of people who have worked on this. This is not 2 people or 1 person or 7 people. It's a group of trained intelligence experts who've gone through this. We're very careful. You'll see how careful we were. But they want us to focus on the fake. They want us to get into disputes with each other. I think we should focus on the truth. Keep our eyes looking forward. When you look in the rearview mirror, you end up crashing your car sometimes. Just stay focused on the truth, what the future is. I think Americans will wake up next Friday and the Friday after that and the Friday after that being informed in ways that they weren't, and they can make their own minds up. I trust the American people to make up their minds regardless of what MSNBC or whatever they call themselves today does. They're smart. The American people are smart. They will absorb this and they'll make the right decision.
John Solomon, I want to thank you for all the work you've been doing. You were wearing 2 hats. You still.
All right, so yeah, that was John Solomon. Let's see if. Oh, he is here.
We are T-minus 27 hours and counting. In exactly 27 hours,
this was
President
John
Trump
Solomon
is preparing
yesterday
to deliver a primetime national address to the American people. These are rare. In fact, in the Trump presidencies, even rarer than others. It's a big moment. Meanwhile, we have a sense of where Todd Blanche's nomination for Attorney General is going to go. There were some pretty big hearings and some pretty big fireworks.
All right,
the first involved Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche making the case why he should be the permanent appointment to Attorney General. He was in front of the Senate, and he has shown a lot of questions answered today. But there's a few moments where Democrats literally just embarrassed themselves. Everybody should go take a look at Senator Marino's questioning of him. It literally created one of the most awkward moments I've ever seen in a confirmation hearing. But the Attorney General focused on the facts. Murders are way down. Violent crime is way down. Those missing children are being found. They're getting rid of human trafficking. They're ending the gangs. He went methodically through every project from Memphis, Tennessee to Washington, D.C. and everywhere in between to show what the Attorney General has done as an acting Attorney General with the FBI by his side. He also took questions today about former Special Prosecutor Jack Smith and that explosive story we mentioned to you last night here on this show. His team did read messages from senators and congressmen, and he said that the Justice Department is now investigating the investigator, the prosecutor. We're going to have more on that with our first guest in just a few minutes, Senator Ron Johnson, the chairman of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations. But first, I want to turn to the war in Iran. U.S. Central Command confirmed that they launched a second round of strikes earlier today. So in the last 24 hours, 2 consecutive strikes, daytime strikes for the first time we've seen, all of these aimed at further degrading Iran's capability to attack vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. My co-host Amanda Head has more on what the president may do next with regarding to Iran. Amanda, what are you hearing? Pretty rough time for Iran. They're getting pounded. They earned it, but they're getting pounded.
It's a bombardment, and yes, like you said, they absolutely deserve it. And as you said, the war with Iran continues to escalate, and President Trump gave them a very stern warning today about when the United States is going to up the ante even before, or even more, and start targeting things like bridges. He was specifically asked if he gave Iran a deadline on that. So take a listen to what he said.
I don't like giving deadlines, but they pretty much know, they know the story. They better behave.
So short and sweet from President Trump, so we're going to have to wait and see if this latest pressure campaign against the IRGC will work. But I do know that President Trump is growing a little bit impatient with all of this. And next, Trump derangement syndrome, well, it strikes again, this time with Democrat representative from New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is arguing that networks have a, quote, ethical obligation to not air the president's speech tomorrow, the one that John was just talking about. She says that doing so contributes to the spread of, quote, lies about our election. It is beyond me. Why is the left so adamant about shutting down talks about election integrity? That's something that we are going to talk a little bit more about tonight, too, John. But, you know, when it comes to election integrity, there are Democrats who used to be on board with making sure our elections were secure. You had Elizabeth Warren, who was calling this out years ago, saying machines are not secure.
Jimmy Carter, all the way back in 2005, worried about the then speculative, now real expansion of absentee ballots. Democrats have a short memory, or they flip sides the second.
Well, folks, that's what we're going to be following up on, all of these documents, as soon as I can get my hands on them. In fact, I need to sick my mods on, Trump spoke an hour ago. So, what we need to do is get all of these documents and go through them. They're supposed to be up on whitehouse.gov. Yeah, stories from who, Douglas? We use reliable sources here. Hearsay is not admissible. If you want to put content into our chat, it needs to be something that you're willing to represent in court and have a source for said information. So Billy Bob in the tractor trailer down the street isn't our source. Any newscaster who invokes the Trump derangement syndrome line disqualifies themselves from being taken seriously. Really? There are people who do suffer from that. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, there are people who melt down over Trump. If you can't realize that, well, I don't even have it on here. Actually, I do over here.
You can't handle the truth.
Those are the facts. Yes, Trump already spoke. Correct. They should make false reporting a much bigger deal than a back page edition, especially if they can prove that the information that they were putting out is inaccurate and they conspired to do it. At that point in time, there should be a criminal charge, in my personal opinion. That's right. They didn't cover it because they didn't want the truth to come out. And so now you know for sure that, well, there are two news organizations that will bow out rather than tell you the truth. Well, yes, he said exactly what I said he would say, or would say. He didn't mention Iran, and I also said that I didn't think if he did, he wouldn't say much about him. He only barely mentioned Venezuela. My response during that moment would have been, and what about the people of Venezuela? Great, we've got oil. What about the people? Lots are bought and paid for by the Chinese. Many, many, many. Okay, any other questions about the speech or anything else for that matter? If so, speak now. So which ones didn't cover it? ABC, and I can't remember what the other one, it was NBC, I think it was. I'm sure somebody will put it in the chat for us here. Somebody please verify that. But I think it was actually more than that, a lot more than that didn't cover it. If you take the number of platforms that normally cover it and the ones that didn't tonight, it's more than just those two. Also, if you like the content, folks, please consider supporting the channel. We operate on donations and revenue from here. So you can go to the link pinned at the top of the chat. We broadcast the truth because of you. If it weren't without you, we wouldn't be able to do it. Correct. What networks did not broadcast the speech? ABC. I think the other was NBC, but I think there were even more other like YouTubers, streamers, and others that didn't, in addition just to those. Yes, this will change the midterms. That's the purpose of this happening right now. ABC and NBC and CNN did not cover it. See, I told you it was more than just two. But believe there were others also. I absolutely agree with that, Diesel. Somebody says MSN did not cover it. So now we are at 4, which was twice the original reported number. I think that number will continue to rise as people look into it. Okay, so 3 of the big ones didn't do it. Yeah, well, it's real news in real time with no BS. Okay, so Douglas, you're not a genius on the energy sector. But the U.S. Energy Administration is coming out with info. What info would that be, Douglas?
Message of 40 characters follows. Golf, 4, Romeo, Oscar, Hotel, Uniform, Alpha, 3, 2, 6, Mike, Golf, X-Ray, X-Ray, Tango, Charlie, Juliet, Echo, 6, Tango, Charlie, Echo, Romeo, Papa, Bravo, X-Ray, Uniform, X-Ray, Alpha, Papa, Hotel, 5, 7, Hotel, Kilo, 3, Oscar, 2, 3, I say again, Golf, 4, Romeo, Oscar, Hotel, Uniform, Alpha, 3, 2, 6, Mike, Golf, X-Ray, X-Ray, Tango, Charlie, Juliet, Echo, Tango, Charlie, Echo, Romeo, Papa, Bravo, X-Ray, Uniform, X-Ray, Alpha, Papa, Hotel, 5, 7, Hotel, Kilo, 3, Oscar, 2, 3. Is completion of 40 characters. This is airspace. Out.
All right, thank you much for the new memberships. Douglas, just so you know how this works, you don't come here and send me off on a wild goose chase to look for something that you claim you are not a genius or an expert on. The way it works is if you have something to report, you bring it here with the source and then we evaluate it. We don't do wild goose chases, especially from admitted not geniuses. Now, anybody else have any other questions for me? Again, thank you, Quake. One more time. No worries, Douglas. Just letting you know how we work here. Thousands of people come through here every day. If we searched down everything that they mentioned and said, go look it up, we wouldn't have time to do a show. Iran strikes are calming down for the night. I wouldn't say so. There are still too many aircraft in the theater for that. We have one inbound here. We've got one who's been there. We've got another one who is inbound. And we got another one who's flying around. And this one here is keeping an eye on everything. I'm telling you, these islands here are going to get walloped. Things may be slowing down in Iran itself, but these islands out here are now the mouse in the glass. So here's where we're talking about. So yeah, there's a lot of attention being paid right in here right now. Just as I said last week, Wood. It's funny how that happens. I said that these islands should be hit, and well, days later, in fact 24 hours later if you want to be exact about it, well, first off, Article 5 has nothing to do with the U.S. Article 5 pertains to NATO, not the U.S. And it is not considered an act of war. It could be considered an act of treason or sabotage or something of that nature, but because there was no overt act of aggression directly against the United States, it wouldn't be considered an act of war. I'm not a lawyer, nor do I profess to be one, but based on my understanding of it, that does not constitute an act of war. Treason, most definitely, I would think. Depending upon what countries are involved, you could also get aiding and abetting the enemy and terrorism, depending upon who all is behind it. No, neither are Brooklyn guys. All right, well, hope you get better. All right, anything else from anybody else? I've got an auto tracker to work on. So I'm going to take a break from this. Let me see if I can do this. So yeah, they're still busy down there. It's not over yet. Don't be ridiculous. I never heard a word about Iran. All right, folks, if you like the content, consider supporting the channel. All right, I'll be back. Like I said, we're doing auto tracker stuff.
all stations, this is airspace, right? Quebec, Lima, Oscar, Whiskey, Delta, Oscar, standby. Quebec, Lima, Oscar, Whiskey, Delta, Oscar, standby. Quebec, Lima, Oscar, Whiskey, Delta, Oscar, standby. Message follows. Quebec, Lima, Oscar, Whiskey, Delta, Oscar, Romeo, Quebec, November, X-ray, Oscar, 2, Lima, Tango, Golf, Alpha, Whiskey, Romeo, Foxtrot, Zulu, Alpha, Whiskey, Golf, Delta, 3, 2, IJS, Quebec, Lima, Oscar, Whiskey, Delta, Oscar, Romeo, Quebec, November, X-ray, Oscar, 2, Lima, Tango, Golf, Alpha, Whiskey, Romeo, Foxtrot, Zulu, Alpha, Whiskey, Golf, Delta, 3, 2, 2. This is airspace out. Quebec, Lima, Tango, India, India, Diego, Sierra, Uniform, India, Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Kilo, India, 2, Eagle, Bravo, Hotel, Yankee, Zulu, 6, Foxtrot, Zulu, Alpha, 6, Alpha.
the time has arrived. The tracker is alive and being made ready to be integrated into the Intimidator. Thus, we are also upgrading the router to a new great big HP that I'm getting ready to install. To do that means I have to shut down everything in here. So with that, I'm going to end this broadcast, and hopefully the next time I come back live, we will be on the new router and preparing to install the tracker. We do that, Jersey, among other things. That's why we're the most powerful military in the world. So with that, we're going to end this one, and we'll come back when we got everything up again. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you the next time.